G'day guys, welcome back to another video with Eno here from Fantasy Take TV. Game week 9 was good to have the Premier League back in action. Kicked it off with a bang with the North London derby, and of course my boys getting it done. The Gunners just sort of still got to pinch yourself that I'm even watching a team looking this good. It's been a long time. The confidence that they show, and they're still somehow they're the youngest squad in the Premier League, putting up the performances they are. Week after week, besides the blip at Old Trafford, they've been pretty much perfect, and even in that game played pretty well, but dominated the Spurs. I caught most of the game. I was actually out and a bit watching on my phone, and I saw when the party goal went in. I just could not believe it. That man takes a shot from range, I think, every game, and has yet to hit one at the club, but he finally does. And then in the second half, really, I think is when we truly just dominated, and Jesus got on the end of a Lloris spill, and then Xhaka finished it off. A goal that he's having a great season so far, and he's probably been good for about a year, a total calendar year, and his start to this season has been unreal. But rest of the game just didn't catch a lot of. Then Sunday night I did stay up, watch the Manchester derby. That was just ridiculous. My transfers were having to get Haaland in, which proved evident, and he got his biggest haul of the season, 3 goals, 2 assists as captain. Don't know how I just wildcarded that man out. I mean, I bought too stupidly into the fact that he might cop a rest here and there, but even then, it would not have mattered. All he needs to play is 30 minutes off the bench anyway, which, I mean, hasn't happened yet and probably won't, but he's been managed beautifully. He's just in unbelievable form, clearly the most informed player in the world. But I had to transfer either Foden or Cancelo or De Bruyne, and I chose Foden to get to Maddison. And look, Maddo pretty much matched him, only 1 point off, but it is annoying to see Phil's biggest ever haul, I think, in the Premier League. Not in my team, considering that I've pretty much owned him for at least 2 years straight. Like, there has been very few game weeks and times that he hasn't been in my team. I think last year even I free hitted, and it was just expected that he might cop a benching, and I think I free hitted in Sterling and Mahrez, and they didn't even play, and then Phil scored a brace in that game. So it's always funny. Phil's mostly in my team a lot of the time, and to be honest, after the blank in game week 12, he will definitely be finding his way back in my team, probably for De Bruyne. Just cheaper, 4 mil cheaper. He's playing, attacking. And when he's on that right side, it's actually looking really good. When he was on the left, he's playing very wide, really only more so of a chance of an assist. But with Grealish playing very well at the moment, Phil's playing on the right, and he's playing very, very good. And he's more of a goal threat too. So, Mahrez can't get a game. He'd probably play in the Champions League. But that's why they weren't too upset losing Jesus, losing some attackers and some players, because Phil can play anywhere, and Pep just loves him. So look, it did hurt seeing the hat-trick go in, but I couldn't be happier for him, to be honest. He's one of my favourite players, and it was just a battering, 4-0, and then the second half sort of City took the foot off the gas a bit. So look, obviously I wish I transferred Cancelo instead, who might be on the way out this week or next week anyway. So it is a bit annoying. Could have stuck with the triple attack and then left it for this week against Southampton. But 97 points, -4 is, for the transfers. So 93 in actual fact, jumping up about another million spots. I think about 850,000. 2 weeks ago, or 2 game weeks ago, was 4 millionth, and now I'm 1.3 mil. So I cannot complain at all. Making rises up the ranks, so got to keep that going. Pope, annoyingly, got the clean sheet wipe very late. Newcastle actually took off 3 defenders of their back 4, and sort of just put the queue in the rack, and then conceded a goal. Got Trippier, kept his clean sheet, but if he didn't come off, they probably would have kept a clean sheet anyway, and Pope would have got his. So a bit annoying. Cancelo, again, City just took the foot off the gas. They haven't been keeping too many clean sheets either themselves, although I think they're an absolute shoe-in for one against Southampton this week. Saliba, unlucky that, Gabriel gave away that penalty, or there's another clean sheet for him. And maybe even might have found his way onto the bonus, although we scored 3 goals, so probably would have just missed out. But besides the fact he's unbelievable right now, 21 years old and doing what he's doing, the amount of composure he shows is just ridiculous, and we're very lucky to have him. But the main thing is, how the hell are we going to keep him and make sure that your Real Madrids, your Barças, every big club in the world is going to be wanting this kid's services, because the sky's the limit. Reece James, annoying, they conceded, but obviously they came back and won. But then their upcoming fixtures look really good as far as a defensive point of view, even though they have been struggling. I think they've only kept one clean sheet for the year, so hopefully they can get some form going under Potter soon. De Bruyne, we're keeping him this week for the Southampton fixture. Of course, obviously, I wish it was Foden that was in my team, obviously, for the whole last week. But KDB can go nuts, in this fixture against Southampton this week, provided he hopefully starts. Matto, unbelievable. What a free kick goal. He's really, obviously, the talisman for that team, and is going to play a big part in getting them up from the bottom. And they're still in the bottom three after that win, but they've got a really good fixture run coming up, and they'll want to get some points on the board. So Matto will be a big part of that, and he wants to get in the England squad as well for the World Cup. So really keen to own him up until the World Cup. Martinelli, it's really going to be hard for me who I'm going to have to keep and get rid of before the game week 12 blank. I'm still tripled up on both Arsenal and City, and it is very annoying that our Europa League game had to get cancelled due to just around the Queen's passing, and it happened to be a City Arsenal game that is when it's going to be rescheduled. So very annoying. Obviously, that's going to be a big game when we play them probably twice in the back half of the season. But would have been really cool to see that matchup, by the way, at this point in the season with both teams going really well. But hopefully, it's still the case. When they do eventually meet. But Martinelli got his assist. It was a good run, and probably a little bit fortunate. Pardon me. Don't think it was obviously on too intentional, but we really want to keep him. They got Leeds. We got Leeds just before the blank in Southampton afterwards, and I really think I want to keep two attackers from Arsenal, and it might actually be KDB and Cancelo that go, and then Saliba. I've got to talk about it, and we'll do it in a sec. I might even go in with 10 players. I just really want to keep probably 4 of the 2, and we'll look at it. We'll see if he can get through and what it looks like. We've got to obviously hear, I'll speak about now, Mitrovic, what the news is with him in regards to his injury. Again, they've got really good fixtures coming up, but depends obviously how long he may be out, if he's out at all. Haaland, just there's no many words you can say really on what the hell this guy's doing. He's unbelievable right now. 3 hat-tricks in 8 games in the Premier League. Next quickest was Michael Owen or something, which is about 40 more. So ridiculous form right now. I mean, when you put the best striker in the world in the best team in the world already, like they were already an unbelievable team without an out-and-out striker, and now they have one. It hasn't taken them long to adapt. These players, De Bruyne, all of them, it doesn't take players of that quality to adapt, and or too long to adapt, and they've shown that very, very quickly. And Jesus is another one that I really, really want to keep. He had 1.4 expected goals on the game on the weekend, and against Leeds and Southampton, I think he can go nuts. And a lot of people have jumped off because of the fixtures and the blanks. And I think the lower his ownership gets, I think it's going to be really good to own him. And I even trust or believe we can score at home against Liverpool this week. The form we're in and the defensively poor form that they are in. So, yeah, we'll talk about it in a sec. But on my bench, Danny Ward finally gets his clean sheet and he's on my bench. I know I tossed and turned about fielding him over Pope this week. Obviously, hindsight, wish I did. But I think Forest actually beat Leicester in expected goals stats, which I know, isn't the be all and end all, but to have a game that was close in that regard, go 4-0 to Leicester, some really good goals from Madison and Barnes, the free kick, not to mention their 2 from open play were good as well. And Nottingham and Forest had a couple of really big chances they just squandered. So, look, you get the clean sheet, you get the bonus point as well, and a save point. So, 8-pointer there missed. Unfortunately, could have got the ton, but we take that. That's fine. He actually rose in price today, which is funny. Nico, mate, fielding this week. We'll talk about that. Andreas will be used and needed across this period, especially in the blank game week. And then Gross as well will be very much required in the blank game week. And looks like Brighton are playing a really attacking style under the new manager. So we'll get to just a quick look at what my team might look like over the next couple of weeks. So for game week 10, it looks fine to roll, honestly. I know Saliba at home to Liverpool, I might, if I was to roll, consider going Nico at home to Villa. Villa a bit up and down. They should have scored against Leeds. They just couldn't take their chances, and look, they probably will score against Forest, let's be honest. I could take a chance on Gross playing, in an attacking Brighton team at the moment, at home to Spurs, which is good for them. I think they could see goals, but I think they could score against Tottenham as well for sure. And Gross could be a part of that, so I might do that. The question is, with only 2 game weeks left to jump off these Arsenal City players, what do I do now? Do I do Saliba now to get one out the way? It's really hard to jump off a City player, any of them this week with Southampton at home. Zaha looks like a really good option as well going forward. Leeds this week. Something I've looked at that's possible is if I do, Palace as a whole have good fixtures, do Cancelo down to Guehi and actually get Andre so I can get him up to Zaha, and this is perfect money. I haven't spent any of the money in the bank doing so. It works exact. And then you could field Zaha over Gross, or even Gross over someone else in there. But that's something I'm looking at. And then obviously I'd have 4 of these left, or actually 5, and then I would need to still move on a couple of the following game week. Probably jump off De Bruyne to maybe Salah, and I would need to find another 0.2 to do it. Or I could go further down from Guehi. I was looking at Patterson, but unfortunately he got injured over the international break, so a little bit annoying. You could maybe save the Zaha, wait a week. I know you missed the Leeds fixture, and then do KDB down to Salah next week. So if I just undo those last couple moves, say I do, I'll just roll. And then next week I can go KDB down to Zaha, and it gives me a fair bit of flexibility in cash to go anyone really. I could get Andreas up to another 8 million mid. I could get rid of Gross if I wanted to, although they do have Forest the week after, I believe, in the blank. So there's a bit of ways to go about it. I think Cancelo would have to be jumped off, and maybe I go for Trent over the next little period. When they have West Ham, Forest, Leeds, and then look to try and get Cancelo back in maybe for Nico or something like that in a future game week. Post the blank, but it's tough. Got to jump off these players. Do I just keep 4 and roll with it and roll with 10 this week with some decent fixtures? I really like Gross to look against Forest, Zaha home to Wolves, Matto home to Leeds, Mitro home to Villa. These are really good fixtures for these guys. Maybe captain one of these guys. Even the defence have pretty good fixtures. Pope, Trippier, Everton at home, really good. Even Ward has Leeds at home, but is going with 10 going to be sufficient for this particular game week? I'm not too sure. But all it does mean is just you instantly tripled up for Arsenal away to Southampton. You maybe wait a week on City at Brighton away, or you could bring Foden straight in, as I said. Maybe go Andreas to Foden after the blank and get another attacker in, and then the week after, if I've got cash, maybe probably want Trent for Leeds at home, but they might score Leeds, so you might want to get Cancelo straight back and straight back to tripling up for the last 3 weeks, which are really good for City too. Or even for Leicester, Fulham, Brentford, and into the World Cup. So, bit to think about. Unfortunately, I am still, as I said, tripled up on both. Still got 6 of both. Haaland's going to be almost 200 EO this week. But I think that's enough from me. Let me know how you went this week. Let me know what you think or what your plan is. And I will say just before we end, don't bank on using a free hit in game week 12. I could keep all 6 here, go through a free hit quite easily and get them all back afterwards. But the free hit's going to be so important. Post-World Cup, there's going to be a lot of fixtures to catch up on, a lot of doubles, a lot of blanks. The free hit's going to be important around that time. I think this is more of an easier one to maneuver. We know it's coming, and it's only a one blank game week, although it is the 2 best teams currently in the Premier League right now that we want to own players from. So it is annoying, but it does throw up a bit of room for some different options that we can do. So, good to finally be rising the ranks. I was stuck around 4 mil for a few weeks, not loving the season, but that's FPL. It can change quickly, and it has for me. Hopefully, into the top 1 million pretty soon. So, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Got the mojo deals, we been tripping like 80. Pulling out the coupe at the lot.